G'day, ZKT here with another video from the Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls beta. In this particular video, I just want to talk about the removal of lifesteal in Reaper of Souls and how us guys in the beta are dealing with this and creating our builds. This is kind of going to function a little bit like a guide for those of you moving into Reaper of Souls and stuff, looking at lifesteal, but mostly I just want to get you guys thinking about this change and just show off some of the ways that we're now able to adapt our builds to it, because we did rely very heavily on lifesteal in Diablo 3 vanilla. Like, for example, I was using a rapid fire bombardment build that would use something like Shadow Power Blood Moon to use Life Leech, and we'd be able to tank through almost anything as long as we were actually attacking enemies. And this pretty much was the case across all classes with lots of different builds. Everyone pretty much used lifesteal in some way to sustain their build and to be able to stand there and face tank. Well, as you can see here, if we go into this this info tab here and look for lifesteal, this is no longer the case. At level 60, lifesteal gains 0.10 multiply, so it becomes much less effective. But then in Reaper of Souls, we also have, at level 70, lifesteal simply no longer functions. So we cannot rely on lifesteal at all anymore. So, what do we do now? Well, there's two different approaches to dealing with the removal of lifesteal, and I'm going to go over each one of those. The first is the mitigation / life on hit regeneration approach. So these three things all go together. So this means stacking life regen on gear and stacking life gain on hit. So for example, Shadow Power Blood Moon now gives us life gain on hit 10,000, well about 11,000 life gain on hit at level 70 to be exact. Now, to make life gain on hit work, you need to be attacking a lot with something that has a decent proc coefficient. So this can scale. Some skills don't work as well as others for life gain on hit, but generally speaking, something like bombardment that hits very rapidly is going to hit multiple times very quickly and give us lots of life gain on hit. So it's still going to work pretty well. Not as good as lifesteal because you're not scaling that depending on damage. You're simply scaling it purely based on attack speed. Now, life regen per second is pretty simple. You just get a flat amount of extra life per second. I don't actually know if I have much. Yeah, I actually have quite a bit. 30k life per second on this particular character here. I think I'm probably getting some from my boar. Yes, okay, here we go. That's why I have this guy in here to show this. The boar, for example, here is a skill that gives you life regen per second. Now, to make both of these things work in Reaper of Souls, and to actually make them work, because this is nowhere near as much life return that we had just from lifesteal in Diablo 3 vanilla. So to make these things work, we focus on mitigation instead of stacking life. So you'll see a lot of people in the Reaper of Souls beta using a lot of, pretty much these all resist runes, or stacking a lot of mitigation. Now I have 500k life, which you can actually get a lot more than that in Reaper of Souls. This character is mostly stacking mitigation at the moment, though we have a little bit of extra vitality and stuff on our gear. Now, firstly, the All Resist gem is just plain better than the Vitality gem, but we're getting more benefit from our life gain on hit and regen if we stack more mitigation. Now, why is this? What makes this the case? Basically, think if we have 500k life and we have a lot of mitigation. Each time we get hurt, we're taking less damage overall, and this means that our life regen and life gain on hit is much more effective because we have a smaller life pool, we're healing a higher percentage of our life pool. Let's say instead that we have 1 million life but nowhere near as much mitigation. Each time we get hit, we're taking more damage. We might not be taking as much percentage of our life damage, but when we actually heal that damage back with this flat amount, so this 10,000 life per hit, it's healing a smaller percentage of our overall life pool. So put simply, life gain on hit or life regen, you stack mitigation and have a fairly low life pool in comparison to someone who's stacking life, and we make our life gain on hit and life regen as effective as possible that way. So that's one approach, and I think a lot of builds will probably take that approach where they stack attack speed, they stack mitigation, they have a fairly low life pool, but that life gain per second and that life gain on hit is super effective as a result. So, what's the other strategy then? Well, the other strategy is, of course, to stack life. We stack as much life as possible, we get a lot of extra vitality. Mitigation is still going to be somewhat helpful, but we try and prioritize stacking life. And then what do we do with that life stacking? We use percentage heals. So, for example, in the Demon Hunter here, and the reason I'm showing off the Demon Hunter is because she has a good range of skills, but all classes have access to these different types of skills, these different ways of healing. So the second way of healing in Reaper of Souls that Blizzard want us to focus on a percentage of our life heals. Smokescreen is a fantastic example of this. This simply regenerates 15% of our life while under the effect of smokescreen. So this is obviously really effective. If you have 1 million life, you're healing 15% of 1 million life. Whereas if you only have like 500k life or even less, you're stacking mitigation like in the life gain on hit build, then you're actually only healing 15% of 500,000. So less effective. So the way to make smokescreen healing vapors more effective is to stack as much life as possible. This is always going to heal 15% of your life, no matter how much life you have. So you take a bit more damage from enemies, but you're also healing a crap ton more because your life pool is so much bigger. So there's a few different ways of doing this on the Demon Hunter, for example. We can also go Elemental Arrow and Nether Tentacles, which returns 0.4% of your maximum life per each enemy hit. So this is not as powerful as Life Steal like it was, but if you stack a lot of life, then the Nether Tentacles is still going to be very effective. And perhaps, even if you stack enough life, probably going to be more effective than Life Steal would have been before, because you're simply healing a percentage of your life, and with your huge pool of life, you're actually healing up quite a bit. So in the end, it comes down to two separate approaches, and there's the two separate approaches where you're either going for regen, life gain on hit, lots of mitigation, small life pool, or stacking as much life as possible and healing percentages of your life. So, with this change, this means we actually have to build our characters around our way of survival. Instead of just every character stacking life still and not really any thought going onto it, you basically just balanced out your mitigation and vitality because it didn't matter. Life still only scaled off your damage. It was a boring mechanic. And I'm actually a really big fan of this change in Reaper of Souls. It's pretty hard to adapt to, but once you actually think about how you build your character around this change, it becomes much more interesting. So now we actually have to fully build around this idea, and I find that really exciting and opens up much more gearing potential. Like, I might prioritize Vitality gear much more over All Resist gear if I was using Healing Vapors as my main form of healing. And this is pretty exciting. So hopefully you guys are pretty keen on it and heading into Reaper of Souls, kind of understand this change a bit more from Blizzard's reasoning and what it looks like to a player actually using it and testing it out. And I'm a big fan of it, and I don't know, hopefully you guys are too. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Ziggy D, and thanks for watching.